So welcome back, y'all. I don't know what ended up happening, but again, we're here for another more interviews with the brother Dlux the Light. As we get him back up in here, man, please, if y'all have questions, throw them up in here. I got to figure out what just happened, but this was very interesting of how that was set up. But for those watching this later, there's some parts of this interview that unfortunately had got dropped out, but we're going to go ahead and just run it back as much as we can. So appreciate y'all, and sorry for any interruptions or miscommunications with stuff. But yeah, that was very interesting of what just ended up happening right now. Just midway. I don't really know what personally, conspired, but let's wait to get the brother and everybody back up in here. So thank y'all for rocking. Thank y'all for being up in here. And let me go ahead and do that as of right now, who I want to we sending this back over to. But hope all is well with y'all, here for another more interviews, memoirs of our real experiences, and having the brother Dlux the Light, aka Desmond Span, back up in here to again speak on his memoirs and speak on his experiences. But as that's going on, y'all, let me play some music in the background and figure out what was going on. That was very interesting. So let's see. And then right now, for any of those that are in here, man, can y'all hear me? Can y'all hear me clearly? So make sure everything is like good and everything good to go. So I'll make sure what just transpired, y'all. All right, Des. All right, there should be that right there. All right, it's working in here. Mad interesting. So let's get that going in here. Des, can you join? Is it working for you? Because I accepted it. Saying that you can't join. All right, this is what I'm going to do, y'all. One more time. I'm going to start back up the live, and hopefully it does not mess up where it is. Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Yes. You want to know what happened?
What happened?
Randomly, my phone out of nowhere just said, "Oh, you've been logged out." It logged me out midway through this. It's never happened before. I guess you was talking about some realness that it was like, nope, we're not ready for this to happen. But
Yeah.
again, for the live again, y'all, this is the brother Dlux the Light, aka Desmond Span. We appreciate you, brother, for coming on for more interviews and sharing your thoughts, your life, and your perspectives on stuff. I know there's a lot that you already got to share with us about your background and continuing on, man. But again, we just gonna keep it moving here, man. This is just not only hip hop, but this is life, and you just keep moving on and moving further, regardless of the situations. But continuing, brother, with talking about again the festival that you were a part of, and again getting into creating and the music from that aspect. Before I jumped into my next question around also you talking about how we can get very elitist in hip hop. If you remember your thought, please continue with your thought, brother.
Yeah. I think not exactly, but close enough, because the point is I can now look back and kind of see this duality that I had between community and commerce.
Yeah.
and everything, like everything culturally speaks to commerce and art and commerce and
Mm,
that, right? Uh, so like, you know, album you're playing, right? Like, you know, I did all the beats, right? Recorded it myself, mixed it myself, mastered it
yes.
myself, right? Like, and you know, let's say it like, I don't know, blows up or something, like, yeah, sure, I would make all the dough because I did everything, right?
Yeah.
Uh, but it didn't blow. There, you know, it didn't do. You know, it did what it did, but you know, I'm not a household name or anything like that. Uh, and just what I'm understanding is like it's actually the opposite becomes more true. Like
Mm,
cultivate community, but you can't cultivate community for commerce because then I think that's how people feel used.
yes.
But if you cultivate communities, you know, genuinely, and then you have something to offer a value that then that gives you a launching to like engage in commerce in a different way.
Yes.
And um, and so I like I wish I knew that then.
Hmm.
Uh, and now that I know it, right, and now that I'm like in a different space with what like I want to, you know, I'm thinking legacy. I mean, I'm like, you know, I'm turning 40 this year. I'm, you know, nowhere near
Mm,
death or anything like that. But like at 11, I felt like I was 25.
mm.
Like I was just like I just internally I just felt like my age was 25, and now that I'm 40, like I think I'm feeling 40. I'm feeling 40. But I think just understanding that the power that is in community and the power that is in relationship, and that how like it's a very non-linear type of experience and type of power
Yes.
where like it's not so much about uh you know it's not you know what social media is, right? Like, oh, I have these many followers and this and that. Like that's not community. That's like um I mean, arguably you could say it's, you know, an audience, but really
Yeah.
you're you're controlled by the algorithm and that stuff, right?
Hmm.
But like an audience is not a community. Um, and so when I think about that now, and I think about just like my first major project that I put a lot of money into was for the community. I wasn't even on the record. I just, you know, put it together, instruments, you know, a couple instrumentals in there, but you don't hear my voice on it at all.
Yes.
Um, and like I enjoyed that process, and it was fun. It was great, and I feel like, you know, when I go back and listen to it, or I'll see some people are listening to it, it's like, wow, that's having an impact, and that's like that's dope. Um,
Yes.
and so I think that's just kind of where I'm at now. Like, you know, I have what I guess I have that the one release that's like available to everybody, but I've done a lot of writing and collaborations. Uh,
Mm,
I've done a lot of like things where I would have people like tell me like through various like music projects, art projects, where it's like, okay, um, you know, all right, you've been through, you're physically abused, right? You're in a
mm,
women's shelter, and we're doing this project about, you know, your life and your story. So like you tell me your story and things are going on, and I'm like listening, and I'm like gathering the material, and then I, you know, make music out of that,
yes.
you know, and like uh, so I've done that like just in a lot of various ways. Um, I mean, I did it. There was once there was like a kids, basically it was like kids with cancer.
Mm,
And yeah, I actually remember the kid's name. Luke Brown was the kid's name. And
mm,
I'm not sure what type of cancer he had, but essentially, um, you know, he was in a wheelchair. like when I met him. And like, so I was talked to him, interviewed him, got aspects about his life, and made a song. Right. Like that's just been kind of my, like I've done a lot of just like verses and songs for like, kind of sharing deeper aspects of other people's story.
Hmm.
And that's, I enjoy it. I do enjoy it. And I mean, I don't necessarily have anything on the horizon now, but I also, think that like, that's probably something I'll continue on doing because I really like, again, human connection. And I think one way we connect is through storytelling and exchanging.
Yes.
And, yeah, I don't know, because again, you're interviewing me, so I feel permission to talk, but I love to, if I'm ever in a party or just a gathering, I'm the one like on the outside just listening, taking everything in, because that's my mode. That's the place I like to be for sure.
Observe, and again, we have two of these for a reason. But
Mm-hmm.
yes, just know that this is, again, as you have welcomed me into the Rhyme Masters community, just know that this space is, of course, also your space to come and, again, share in on not only your experiences, but your thoughts, your perspectives, and any new skills and traits and tricks that you want to share too. So just know it's here. You already know.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Speaking of that, from, of course, the cutoff, which, again, y'all, for those who only seen this, you missed some definitely some gold and some nuggets there, but it's all well and done. It's how life moves. I wanted to jump back in, and I did have a nice segue from what you were speaking on earlier, but I wanted to jump back in and get a little, I'm going to say more in depth, but another maybe inside story of, honestly, the question is like, who was Dlux growing up as a child? I know you spoke about how he was born in Maryland and then you literally being in the Army, your family then being in the Army, so you were moving around from various places to place. But give us a little, again, maybe some snapshots of some of those places besides the whole setting of you in Arizona, writing your first rap and based off of, all those different things. Give us some snapshots from here to there where you was going, as a child. And then I have a question to follow up after that.
Yeah, I was basically like by myself,
Mm.
like, so I mean, I have a brother now, but like the brother I have now, like, he's, let me see, 15, I believe, 14, 15.
Wow.
So like my oldest son is older than my brother. So I grew up, an only child, right? So, played video games, Tetris and, Nintendo,
Mm.
blowing cartridges,
Some of y'all don't know about that, man.
Yeah,
Some of y'all don't. I'm still in that era to know a bit, but yes.
yeah, kind of, duck hunt, all that.
Oh,
I remember a little snapshot, a little story. It was like, because I think when you bought the Nintendo,
yes.
one of the games that was default, and I think it was like one cartridge, two games, and it was like Duck Hunt and Top Gun. Those were like the two games, right? And Duck Hunt was fine, like I could play that, but I just remember playing Top Gun and just not being good at that. Like I couldn't, I wasn't good at that, right? And I would get frustrated, like really frustrated and angry. And I just remember my dad coming in and be like, "Hey man, if you don't calm down, we're going to take that game away." Cause I was just, expressing too much anger over Top Gun. So there's that. Let me see another
Raging
little
Against the Machine,
yeah. Yeah. let me see another. Let's see. Okay, here's the other like the big. So I told you how like I felt like I was 25, right?
Yes. At 11
So
years old. Yes.
at 11 years old, right? So who knows? Like, is that like about fifth grade, maybe?
Y- Ish. Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. So, um, to kind of get into this, because this is, I think it says a lot about me for sure. Uh, so, like when people are doing like boyfriend and girlfriend, in fifth grade, it's just like, it's whatever. It's light. It's like, just what does it really mean? Maybe you hold a hand and like, yeah, and then that's it. And the next week it's over, right?
Mm.
I had the view about fifth grade, like, why would I ever be, have a girlfriend that I would marry?
Mm.
Right? Like that's how I was thinking in fifth grade. So I had a girlfriend in fifth grade, and then long story short of that is she became my wife, and then the
Wow.
follow-up chapter of that is after after graduating college, maybe like a year or maybe 2 years after that, we divorced. So
Yeah.
my first kid, Isaiah, I don't know if you've seen him in the streams or the Cypress or not. Yeah. So yeah, he's uh, my child from that marriage.
Mm.
So essentially, I met my first wife in fifth grade.
Wow.
So yeah. And like again, the on and off of like that sits, it's a deeper story, it's a longer story. But you could say on and off since fifth grade until we uh, called it quits, in
Yeah.
'05, '06, something like that.
Yeah. Wow.
So I was a deep dude,
Dedication.
man. Yeah, that's like I was like the Bernie Mac joke, right? And it come to play. I flunked recess.
Yeah, bruh. Wow, I haven't heard that in a minute, man.
Yeah, I don't know.
Wow.
I'm playing more now, though. I understand the power of play. Let me turn this off real quick.
Yes.
All right.
But yeah, well, wow. Now that again, that was one of a heck of a snapshot right there. That was more than a
Yeah.
Kodak moment. That was definitely a photo book right there, a photo album. Man.
Yeah.
On top of those snapshots, and even if you have more, you're more than welcome to also like share with the more of these questions. What's one thing from any of those snapshots and some that you haven't spoke on even previously that impacted you the most as a child, whether if it was the feeling again like alone, being able to moving from place to place, or that same thing with I know I need a girlfriend. Well, I need a girlfriend, and if not, not gonna marry them. Like, what any of those snapshots really impacted you as a kid?
Yeah. I think as a kid, probably the moving around
Mm.
because the moving around was about like that sets up the like, I mean, shyness at first,
Mm-hmm.
but then I stopped being afraid and I just
Yes.
chose to be quiet and
Mm.
just watch. Right. Like that's, about high school, I got to a point where it's just like, yeah, I'm not shy. Like, I'll get on the stage and like dance and like rap for people and like, so I don't have shyness. It's more of like, I prefer to listen, take things in. And I'm also just discovering like I was just sensitive as a kid.
Mm.
Like before I learned better, I won't say better, learned worse really. Like, because I mean, it's like, guys don't cry, right? So like,
Yeah.
So, I went through, my fair, I wasn't necessarily bullied, but like there was, a bully, right? That like I had my encounters, but I wasn't necessarily like the target, but just like, so I had my encounters, but I also had the things that make me upset. When I got upset, I would cry. Like I was like it was the first place I went. And
Mm,
at some point, I think around again at fourth, fifth grade point, whatever it happens, um, I just, I still felt rage, but I didn't let myself cry.
mm.
As just, and so like very sensitive, still sensitive, like just being in, classic, I mean, I don't like labels.
Me and
Um,
you are on the same with that, but yes.
yeah, but like a good description for me would be introvert. Good description for me would be, highly sensitive person. Um, and so by moving around a lot, I never really formed,
Mhm.
again, coming back to that connection community piece, right? Like
Yes.
when you grow up in a place and you see the same folks, for better or worse, right? You feel some kind of connection to them,
Yes.
and it could be for worse if it's like, okay, you did something embarrassing and now you're forever known as like, haha, you did something embarrassing, kid. Or if you're, for better, if it's like, like, oh yeah, you're like, you know, people liked you, and it's like, yeah, that person's cool, Um, because I mean, yeah, I mean, just like, none of us escape the human condition. So no
Yeah.
matter how we're like growing up, like we have to go through something, and that's the I think the piece that it's not talked about enough for kids.
Mm.
It's like stop trying to like live a pain-free life. Like it's not possible. It's what's worth the pain that you're going to feel.
Yes.
Like try to figure that out, but don't to try to like get through it unscathed and unharmed. It's not possible, and you end up doing more harm to yourself because you end up crushing your spirit.
Exactly. Exactly. I thoroughly agree with that, and it's very hard to, especially for folks who are comfortable and have lived around in a life again of uncertainty and dysfunction,
Mhm.
to be able to bring that point and to just be able to live with the ups and downs, go through your valleys and and your mountains, figuring all out that that's going to add to you as a person and your character, and just shape your overall journey in life, your legacy, whatever that you may want to end up doing to really add to your why, versus
Mhm.
I'm going to do all I can in my power to avoid this pain, knowing that you're going to be going and jumping over loops and other many different obstacles that you didn't necessarily maybe even have to worry about because you're trying to avoid the pain. And
Mhm.
again, like you said, it just ends up creating more, not only more of obstacles, but it just makes it even more matters worse because of the fact that you are trying to run away from pain and trying to just have that quote unquote pain free life, no type of suffering, anything at all. Honestly, man, any working day, sometimes you tired as heck, that's suffering in some ways, shapes, and forms. So as much as you can
Right.
try, in the words of dilated people, you can't run and you can't hide. Like as much as you're
Right.
trying to.
Right. Yeah. And if you stop actually, when you recognize that, then you don't have to waste energy running or hiding. You
Yes.
could put that energy into facing the challenges,
Yes.
and I think that's another part they don't get talk about. It's like, oh, it's like I feel more energized now because all that like all that energy that was going into being afraid of what's going to happen eventually anyway
Yes.
now goes into, all right, what's the challenge that's in front of me in this moment, as I try to uh, move forward, make progress on a goal, make a contribution, make an impact, like whatever it is that we've decided that's worth doing in a moment,
Yes.
you know. And uh, I don't know, it connects to this, like, because you're because we talk about, like, when I think about my MC journey, going from like, okay, like 10 or 11, like wanting to rap and not knowing how to do it. And
Yeah.
I remember how crushed I felt, you know, thinking like it would never happen. And yet the desire was still in me to do it.
Yes.
Right. And so that right there, you know, is passion, because that's
Yes.
like, that's suffering, right? Pasayo, the root of it, right? It's like, I don't know how to do this thing, yet the desire to keep trying is still there.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's torture, you know? And it's like, well, why am I putting myself through this torture? And it's like,
Yes.
oh, because, you know, for myself, again, as this, you know, sensitive person, and like, so sensitive to the point where it's like, it's natural to imitate what other people do to learn a craft.
Yes.
So it would be, you know, for me to get on the track and write verses about, like, you know, getting girls and getting money and selling drugs and all these things that I've never done,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, nobody would blink an eye at it, because it's like, oh, you know, he's learning how to rap and that's what rappers talk about,
Yes.
right? But for whatever reason, again, like I couldn't do that. And so again, more suffering, right? It's like, dang, I still want to rap, but I can't do what they're doing,
Yeah.
you know, because I would have to say what they say, and those aren't my words, right? And so, like, I still have this ambition, but every avenue that I've been trying to take to, like, develop the skill,
Yes.
it doesn't work for me. Uh,
Mm.
and it's like, oh, but then maybe that was my journey to understand it for what it is now for me, right? Like, that I mean, and whether it was my journey or not, like, or like maybe I had to go through that. There's no maybe about it. I did. so
Yes.
so that the fact that I went through that, that suffering, that, like, you know, I mean, it's this phrase too, right? Like the idea of, like, God doesn't give you nothing that you can't handle.
Handle. Mm-hmm.
Right. Like that idea, right? And, you know, like, God, spirit, you know, just whatever, nobody has it all figured out.
Mm-hmm.
So that thing beyond our understanding, that's what I'm speaking to.
Yes.
Like, doesn't give us something that we can't handle. So, like, even though I didn't know how I was going to rap. I didn't think I was going to rap. I thought I was going to be a producer and just make beats for people. Like,
Mm.
that's what I honestly believed, you know, 17, 18, 19. And then uh, I found a way, right? Or the way
Yes.
found me, or whatever. Like, and I was like, oh, this is how I can do it. And the and then now, when I think about, like, MC Mind and the videos that I put out back in the
Yes.
day, what I'm doing now, it's like I went through that, and I also have this desire to give back, to show hey, this was helpful for me. This insight that I could write raps about this kind of stuff
Yes.
allowed me to find my voice and have creative expression. And then now, as I'm learning now, it's like, oh, creative expression is actually how there's like health benefits for creative expression,
Yes.
right? Like, so it's not just like the ego, like, ooh, I got something to say and I got to say it because I'm so self-important. It's like, no, there's something deeper than just like, okay, you know, all these rappers just want to hear themselves talk. It's like, nah, it's like, you know, we got energy to move through. We got
Yeah.
healing to move through. you
Yeah.
know, like trauma and all these things. Like it's gotta come out and it's gotta be heard and we gotta share and we gotta connect in it. And if we can, this kind of gets to this really bigger idea on Ride Masters too, which is like if we can come together as a community,
Mm-hmm.
providing the human need to be seen, heard, and valued for just who we are,
Yeah.
then we don't have to like chase the near enemy of fame to start feeling something like that.
Mm.
You know, we don't have to have thousands of people, you know, cheering our names to feel validated as a human being.
Yeah.
You only needed one when you were born, right?
Mm.
Maybe, you know, I guess ideally too.
Yes.
But you only needed another person who had like unconditional love for you to say, hey, you're worthy enough for me to sacrifice for your well-being.
Yeah.
Right. And
Mm-hmm.
then if that's enough to get us to the next step, then like, what happened? Why do we lose our way from that? You
Yeah.
know, and I think it's, you know, our culture and all the isms, right?
Yes.
Racism, sexism, like all the things that divide us, keep us as consumers, keep us serving uh, systems of power, um, and not serving each other. And I think that's uh, I just want to contribute to a different way, you know, to
Absolutely.
where we could build, build with each other, connect with each other, provide the basics of what we need on a human level, and
Mm-hmm.
then you know, then just you know, sharing the joy. You know,
Yes.
that's what the ciphers are about.
Shedding light to the ills of the world, but bringing them to light so that we can create a new way.
Mm, yeah.
And now, speaking of the ciphers, the culture, and we getting there,
Mm-hmm.
what piqued your interest the most when it comes to hip hop as a culture? So, what piqued it the most?
Mm. Let me see. Let me see. I think the music,
Hmm.
like in the beginning, like just like there's just something about a boom and a bap, you know. And then I mean, and then even like understanding, like when I heard it as a kid, right? Like I'm like when I say the music, I'm thinking of probably one of the first songs. It's like the Brat, the Funkified was like one of
Oh,
the like,
wow.
yeah, right. And then I know, and I can't think of the sample. I know it's a sample, right? Like, so I know the music's already exists before hip hop did its thing with it,
Yes.
right? Um, but what hip hop did with it, you know, and just kind of made it like bigger uh and just like that that feeling. And then I just like, so in the beginning, right, there's the Brad the Funkified, then there
Mm-hmm.
is Crisscross, then there's ABC, None of That Creation, Bone
Yes.
Thugs and Harmony, right? These are all the songs I'm managing to hear in the beginning. And then the R&B from that era too. I'm thinking of like groups like Silk.
Oh,
Uh,
man.
I'm thinking of like uh, I know this wasn't like I know it's R&B, but I know Take Six is like you know uh,
Mm-hmm.
kind of Christian, you know, more.
Leaning.
But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah, just like you know the just the male singing groups, right? Of course, Boys to Men, like so just that music, and then like kind of like late '90s when it's like okay, now I'm in my you know development prime and like where I was just thinking about this like how you know the music that we think that is like timeless and classic.
Yeah.
I just wonder if it's more about we heard it at a time where
Mm.
things can become timeless.
Mm.
Like in our development, like I can
Yes.
hear something now that I'm like, oh, that's a really good song, and I'm feeling it, but I'm not in that same space where I'm like, this is gonna be dope forever. Like I'm not in that
Uh,
same emotional, hormonal space where like whatever leads you to believe something is forever,
yes.
and like what like
The
I think
nostalgia.
happens. Yeah, just like when you hear, like if I hear like Stakes is High, De La Soul, right? Like when I hear that, that feels like timeless and forever for me.
Yes.
But of course, the sound is of course of that era, right? It's of that moment, so it's not timeless in that sense, where like
Yes.
somebody else would have that.
Yeah.
So I think so the music for sure, and then like you know when I think of like MCs that I'm influenced by, Common, Black Thought, De La Soul,
Yeah.
uh, Black Star, so Talib Kweli, Yasin Bey, Mos Def, back in the day.
Yeah.
Um, like that was just all about just like um, that like the finding identity,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's like the music brought me in, right? And then but when like what like kept me in was just like, oh, this seems like me. And then here's the other piece, because I really again I got into the words. I wrote poetry
Yes.
first, right? Spoken word poetry first. Even though in my journal I actually have raps in there as far as
Yeah.
like what felt like I could do and perform as poetry. So Saul Williams, I got the Dead MC Scrolls. I started
Mm.
reading that, and like it was the only thing that I like reading text for me. I probably again don't like labels, but a description probably for the way that I've read and things that happen would be dyslexia, right?
Mm.
Words flipping and things missing and things like that. But when I read the Dead MC Scrolls, it was like, oh, this sounds like how I think. Not like I think like Saul Williams because I was a
Yeah.
teenager. I didn't, but like just how the words were coming out for like the parts I understood. It was like that. Oh, okay. Like I'm not skipping this. This flows. Like
Yes.
this is flowing for me as I read it to myself, versus like when I go and read like Shakespeare or anything else that they'll have me read. It was just like,
Yeah.
okay, this doesn't feel right. Like this, you're the I don't know. It was just something different about it, right? So it just felt natural. And then of course, like Saul Williams, amazing and then just again the content of what Saul Williams is saying, and just uh, and just the again just all this just idea of just like seeking truth, learning, discovering yourself, identity, all these things that happen at that age. I was finding that in the hip hop music I was listening to. Um, and that's kind of like what kept me in it and
Mm.
keeps me in it, right? Like, though I don't necessarily find a lot of like artists that are speaking to, what I'm going through at this particular moment,
Yes.
you know, um, I write for myself to sit what I'm going through in this moment, like I now have that, and I'm not so much searching outside myself for myself as much anymore. It's like I search within, anytime I have, questions or like moments of fear, I just like like investigate it and get my
Yes.
journal out. It's like, oh, fear. Why am I afraid of that? Like I've just learned to like go inside first,
Yeah.
because that's where all the perceiving is happening. and
Yes.
then and then everything else outside begins to have a little bit more clarity for myself.
Man, it's a man of many gems and wisdom here, y'all. If y'all don't know, my goodness, I love it. And it's very important where that's why I like to always go back in any conversations that I have with anyone, whether if it's on here for any of the content I do, is just the importance of that self-love. And honestly, you know, going in to know and really learn yourself to just really build that foundation so that everything else within life becomes not only an addition, but it starts to not only build your character, but it just helps you to really look into the inside of like, okay, now why is this having a certain effect on me as a person? All right, now let me go ahead and do the knowledge. Let me look within. I mean, and especially again, some of the elements of hip hop, of course, you know, knowledge, of course, is in that part, but then knowledge of self is also another aspect. Is within that if we do subs under the whole those different elements of hip hop. And it's just important for you to be able to, you know, at least get a glimpse in a picture. You don't have to have like the whole tapestry, be like, yeah, I know myself all the way from A to Z, or even whatever letter you want to use that may not even be on the alphabet. But, you know, at least have a good grasp so that, you know, as you're moving through life, more of these experiences are going to help build on your character as a person, but you have some why and a driving force and a foundation. And to that point, to get to the next question and ask you, in terms of that, if people wanted to and get to know you a little bit more, if you had to describe yourself to someone, picking a song or an album, and it can't be any music that you've created for yourself, what song or album would you choose?
Ooh, to describe myself though, huh?
Mm-hmm. So first time they meet you and they just like, they don't know nothing much about you, be like, you know what? Here's a little bit of who I am in this particular song. Or if you want to get a good glimpse of who I am, it's this album.
Yeah. I'm thinking of lyrics right now to see what might come up. Yeah, see, I'm thinking of albums that are like kind of like again during that period of my life that kind of formed me. I don't know if describes me or anything, but
yeah,
I think an album that I keep coming back to.
Okay.
Again, yeah, that I keep coming back to is it's the live album of Things Fall Apart.
Ooh. I didn't even know they had a live album. Whoa.
Yeah, that's so yeah, I'm a big Roots fan, obviously. And yeah, just like the you know, I mean, I like the you know the original, so,
yes.
You know, but there's just something about the live album that like I keep coming back to. Like, I mean, I probably I know I've listened to it within the last month, and you know, and it's interesting because like I remember like Next Movement was like the single, and that's like that was like my jam, like when I was young. And it's like now it's like I still love that song.
Yeah.
But when I think of like songs that like help me just again process and like feel and just connect to myself, Proceed. Right. And again, the live version, right? I shall proceed and continue to rock my like that might be the song.
Yes.
You know, like I think like that there's a lot about me that is like I mean I'm learning better, but I think the core of my default is to like go until the wheels fall off. Like I'm a very like deep diver, like You know, I miss the times when I was young and I could just have like stay up for like all night working on one song or
Mm,
many songs because I'm just like in it until like I can't do it anymore.
yes.
And then I stumble through my day or whatever, and, and then try to repeat the process, right? But the you know, I mean, you know, now father and day job and all that, like I can't do that anymore. But when I think about like, you know, my drive and passion to really just uh make a contribution,
Yes.
and then as I say, make a contribution towards more human connection,
Hmm.
I shall proceed and continue. You know, like
Mm,
you know that's like again when I think about uh like I'm going to be getting into I'm already a part of doing like diversity equity work in my school, but
yes.
I'm going to start branching out and you know going other places and uh, you know again trying to do the same work of like advancing human connection because I think that is uh,
Gee.
yeah it's like you know without kind of like diving into uh, the racism talk, you know, just when you really study it, you just realize like, oh, the race is meant to divide. Like, like no one, uh, nobody's. I think we're only calling ourselves by these things, by these colors, if you will, because we have stories with them, we have struggles with them, and they unite us,
Yeah.
uh, make us feel connected, and that's what I'm all for.
Hmm.
And we just have to remember that like if we get too like uh, too attached to it, then we're going to keep reinforcing the division that it was designed to create. And I think that there's a way to focus on the connection while focusing on all what's real, what's honest, and what's going on in the space.
Yes.
Uh, but remembering that the goal is more connection. Uh, it's not a I mean, I don't know what other people tend to do with it, but I think sometimes people it's like hustling for worth, playing
Hmm.
shame, right? You know, oh, you know, I'm a good person. No, you're like it's not about it's just connection
Yeah.
and recognizing like, oh, this division affects all of us. And let's hear our stories, let's hear everybody's perspective
Hmm.
and honestly be okay to feel you're gonna feel pain, you're gonna feel uncomfortable with it.
Yes.
That's a part of it, you know. Don't think your safety Uh, don't think comfort equals safety. It doesn't,
Yeah.
you know. So, um, yeah, I'm getting ready to get on that high horse, but yeah, I'll leave it at that. It's basically, yeah, like for me, that it's how I kind of resolve like uh all the work that I do,
Mm,
um, because it at the end of the day, it's about building the capacity for us to connect with stuff. So,
yes. And you already see that there's some questions in there from the
yeah,
community itself as well too. Along with that, that question that's there too, and I want to weave it into this next question, and then we'll be getting into the rhyme masters community portions of this stuff. Um, when
or
it came to when it comes to your process creating and again balancing all of not only these concepts ideas wanting to create and having the time and the space to be able to do so when you do have that set time and you have the ability to do so, what does your creative process look like, and if you want to share some maybe pros and cons of that process, especially in the spacing and the timing and whatever it may end up being.
yeah. Um, So if I have, so there's a couple ways, at least like it starts with like, A or B.
Okay.
So if I'm creating for myself, there's a process, and then if I'm creating for a project or someone else, like a feature verse or something,
Yeah.
there's a process. But the core of all of it is like um, I find a way to play with ideas first.
Yes.
Um, and when I say first, but like okay, so I always write. Like writing is thinking, and I like having clarity in my thoughts. So if I want to have clarity of thoughts and be able to like actually talk to people without these long pauses and like false starts and stuff, I have to write just to clear my head to be like, okay, this is what I think. And so as I write, I mean, I think I literally write every day in some form or fashion. As I write, I have clarity on, my ideas, philosophies, things that I believe.
Yeah.
And then as I write, I start noticing connections, between just words and metaphors. Uh, and so if I find a nice connection or metaphor or turn of phrase or just or rhyme or just, um, if I take, like, for example, I said, I wrote this safe enough for your truth. So, how you talk about like safe
Mm,
spaces,
yes.
right? And again, me thinking about the idea of safety versus comfort, and it's like, okay, they're not the same thing. Here, we're trying to be safe enough for you to be honest, right? In a
Yes.
classroom. So like literally that, like I was writing, trying to figure out what I'm going to convey to my students about their lack of attendance because it's a thing right now,
Yeah.
seniors, all that stuff. And then that thought pops in, so I write that out. The thing that I end up writing about attendance becomes a poem because that's just what came out.
Yeah.
Um, so like I'm always writing to clarify my thoughts, and then I'm giving myself permission to like write as myself, and so
Mm,
uh, I always so when so like I'm always writing for myself and like processing and um so there's that piece, and then when I actually say it, like if I need to like put a verse together, right?
yes.
So there's a beat there, um there's a beat there, if there's a concept, then it's like, okay, what have I been playing with to that I can bring to this space?
Yes.
There's also like, okay, here's the title. Let me, okay, play with it, right? So I'll free write, uh, just see what comes up for me, what I'm actually thinking, seeing if I can discover again that like turn of phrase, metaphor, irony. I really like irony. I really like opposites. If I discover something that kind of has an opposing relationship to it,
Yes.
then that becomes like a nugget for maybe a line, maybe a whole verse, right? As an example, so that poem that I wrote for students missing class, one of the things that I wrote was like your it was like your absence is felt,
Mm,
and it was like your presence is missed, which is like straight up, and your absence is felt. And I was like, that there's tension in that, right? Like,
yes.
and the point being, right, is that I feel when my students aren't there because I care for them to be there,
Yes.
right? Uh, so the so it's like I guess I'm always in process, and as far as just like the thinking, and then it's just a matter of like, okay, if I need to write for something, then I need to set the time up to create, uh, what's being asked. Um,
Got you.
yeah, that I guess that's the best way to think about it right now. And this is just the writing side of it. Like I
Yeah.
haven't really. I mean, I have this nice keyboard and setup, and I do want to make some do some more production this summer, um,
Mm,
just just for just to get into it because the music hasn't stopped. Uh, but that takes more time. That takes um, like more concentrated blocks of time to get into a zone or even just establish a workflow where like
yes.
maybe I don't uh because it's been a minute like when I was in a band with Speaker Minds,
Yeah.
so I didn't have to like fully produce things. I would have chords and things, be like, hey, bring it to the band, and then magic would happen and be like, oh, that's awesome. So
Yeah.
I have like basically 9 years of that. And so because of COVID, the disbanded the band. And so now it's like, okay, yep, apparently still got music, but now it's like, okay, well, I think I gotta make make it all myself if I'm gonna do it myself. Or, I can, buy beats and things like that. And
Yeah.
I may go down that route if I have the desire to really put some things, release some things and put some things out. But I also have some old tracks that like I need to just finish and release. Jermaine, he actually hooked me up with a hook idea for um, this song right now. I'm still calling Weirdo versus Robots or Trobots actually,
Mm,
and um, so I want to. I might actually have him like send it to me again because I don't know if I still have access to it. But all that to say, like, I just keep. Uh, I just try to stay in it now because quite literally, it's how I process, make sense of the world. It's. I don't really write, and the funny thing about it is when I was looking at my old journal, like there's a whole bunch of verses in there that like I never shared.
mm,
And it's just because I was writing a process. That was
wow.
it. Like it wasn't about like, like I mean in my head, like, yeah, this could be a cool song, but when I really think about it and go back, it's just like, you know, not everything in there would be a cool song. And then it's like, well, even though it's not a cool song, why am I still doing it? It's like, well, because I need to. Like it's how I
Yes.
figure this out.
Mm, man, you said a lot of powerful stuff there too, and there's a lot that I definitely want to be able to take away from it in the process of. I mean, main thing of course of any one of y'all just figuring out what process works for you and how you use it to help clarify any of your thoughts and your perspectives and thinking. But the one powerful thing that you did say, and I want to make sure it's said again and felt, is giving yourself the permission
Mhm.
to create and be able to do so. I thought that's very powerful because sometimes we are not only looking to other authority figures and other folks to like let us know when and where is the appropriate time and things to do or to express or give out or to, say certain things or, in your own spare time by yourself. When you give yourself that permission to be able to either feel that emotion or be able to, write that thought to help, again, clarify and help you understand more about why you may feel some way or why you're thinking a certain way. So just wanted to add that back out there because that really stuck with me while you're speaking about all that you were speaking on, just to bring it up. Now, before we get into you talking about and giving us a spill on Rhyme Masters, the brother
Mhm.
wants to know what materials do you use in your hip hop literature classes?
Oh, I use a lot of song lyrics. So recently I used Master Ace's Young Black Intelligent in class, um, just to kind of just to kind of show them like some analysis uh, pieces with it. But like my class is this. I teach life through the lens of whatever subject I'm supposed to teach.
Mm.
Like life is the core thing that I'm doing. I had a student once years, like maybe my second or third year of teaching, basically gave me the criticism of like, yeah, Mr. Span, sometimes you teach life and I just want to learn English.
Yeah.
And like, it's like, yeah, I guess so. And I kind of felt like some way about it. And then, I talked to some parents later on. It's like, yeah, I hope you would teach life. And I was like, yeah, that's it. Right. Because this English class is going to end. Your whatever English classes you're taking and whatever school you're taking, that's going to come to an end. But when your life is with you for the rest of your life. So, so, yeah, like I'm going to teach you about life through the lens of, hip hop lit. So to that end, right? I'm saving the story of like just what the school year has been.
Yeah.
But I've been teaching a lot about, again, this idea of connection and chronic disconnection, the effects of that. I've been teaching a lot about emotions, because like in order for like you, in my view, like when I think about hip hop is not, nobody came, a professor did not come to like the South Bronx and say, hey, here's your curriculum to create hip hop culture.
Yeah.
Like no one, you're right. Like it was the youth. It was a response to erasure, right? Like trying like get rid, like we don't even think it's like what, a neighborhood here? Oh no, this is a highway. Like, you know what I mean? Like they're trying to erase, erase black and brown folk. And that becomes, the response to that is like, nah, let's create a culture that's going to take over the globe.
Yeah.
Right. And it happens, organically with the various people and movements in play. And so when you teach a hip hop class in an institution, like, I mean, of course you can do it the way institutions do things, but then you still get the institution, and you actually rob and take away from the richness that is hip hop culture. Or the other hand, you could say, hey, well, like, nah, I'm trying to create the conditions where hip hop can emerge. And the phrase that like we like to use, because Jesse also teaches hip hop lit, and it's a floating around. I can't think of her person's name, but anyway, we're creating the conditions for like genius to emerge. We're creating the conditions for like students to, express themselves and choose to dig in deep, right? And versus me coercing them through a grade or through like threats or anything like that.
Yes.
But in order for those conditions to be there, we have to have connection.
Yeah.
Right. And then for people to have connection, it's not enough for students to have connection to just me.
Mm-hmm.
That helps. But they actually have to have connection to each other. They actually have to care about each other's growth and development just as much as they care about their own.
Yeah.
And most of the students this year, like, didn't agree with that statement. I do like, those little philosophical chairs, agree, disagree, right? Like no one agrees with that. Like they don't feel like people care about their growth and development, like other students. And like, and basically learn to cope with that. And like that, and that's, so no wonder they feel disconnected. No wonder anxiety is high, mental health issues, depression, all these things. Like it's been here, prior to COVID.
Yeah.
Right? This chronic disconnection that, this very transactional relationship with learning. So yeah, like all that creates students who come into they think they're coming into a transactional space.
Yes.
Where they don't need to connect to anybody else around a subject that's based on community,
Mm-hmm.
right? So what I teach and what I use, like I can bring in all kinds of stuff. You know, Rakim's got a book, Common's got a book, Jay-Z's got a book, Talib Kweli's got a book. Like there's a whole bunch I can bring in.
Yep.
But until the community is right, like I'm doing that literature a disservice,
Yeah.
you know, because you're just going to be like looking at it like, you know, it's any other standard thing. And it's like, wait a minute. Like, do you know, like, what this really is?
Yeah.
Like, this is wisdom and insights that come from, like, people's lived experience for a
Experience.
culture that you're, like, part of. This is not, you know, School of Hard Knocks, like, that kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Versus, you know, all right, here's the curriculum, right? We've researched and here's all the tenets. Like, no, this is street knowledge, right?
Yes.
Folklore, like it's for the people of the people, and you're gonna approach it like, you know, it's just a standard assignment, or
Yeah.
you know, come in here with like that mentality, like you know, gotta care about people. You know,
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, we can't operate like that. So, um, yeah, so we had to do a lot of work on that front, and to the point where now I'm trying to get them like basically they're helping me
Yeah.
create connection and good relationships for next year's hip hop lit class,
Mm.
so they can start thinking about like, because that's the actuality of what happens in
Yes.
schools, right?
Yes.
Is, you know, I'm the common denominator, but like I learn from y'all, that makes me
Mm-hmm.
better for them,
Yeah.
right? So if
You're
you
the
can see that
bridge.
like it's all connected, yeah, now we can maybe start acting a little bit differently, and then again change this culture that keeps us divided and allows, you know, hatred and racism and bigotry and all these things to just
Yeah.
keep going on because we're just, you know, doing for self, right? Like we're just,
Mm.
right. I'll get mine. You got to get yours. And like, you know, like again, I think I feel like Pac said that in one song. You know what I mean? Love Pac,
Possibly. Yeah.
right? Right? Like I love Pac, and that I don't know if that's hip hop. I think that's American culture,
Yeah.
right? That's reflected in hip hop.
Individualism.
Yeah, right. Like there's a whole bunch of that, and it's. I think I guess I'm more of the interdependent. That's just where I'm
Yes.
at. Like we gotta hold down our own, and none of our needs get met without anybody else.
Yeah.
So
Powerful. Powerful. Speaking of a community and interdependency and coming together, here's the moment in time, brother, for you to go ahead and tell us a bit about the community that you have been building on for years and years, through different, you know, channels, and now the name of Rhyme Masters.
yeah, oh man, Rhyme Masters. I mean, it's you know it's all in there as far as like everything I've kind of spoken about. But to be more like direct about it, it's a growth rap community. And when we talk about growth, we're talking about connection, we're talking about uh, well being,
Yeah.
and we're also talking about, you know, growth in rap skills, right? Um, and then, so like that's what the whole idea is. As far as the things that we do, it's like we have our um, for our like crew members, we have ciphers every Friday, that, you know, 8:30, 10:30 Pacific Standard Time, and then every other Sunday we have the community cipher, which is open to everyone, and that is 7 to 9 East Coast Standard Time.
Mm-hmm.
We also have courses some of my old courses in there. So like the freestyle blueprint. I think there's I can't remember these courses in there, but the whole idea here, right, is like we have our ciphers for us to, again, to be in community, practice our craft, share stories, you know, jokes, laughs, you know, get support on issues. Like, I mean, it's been, uh, you know, I mean, it's mostly some, you know, mostly those who identify as men right now coming through. But it's definitely open for anyone who has basically just rocks with the values, right? Of just, you know, growth, well-being, connection.
Yes. And to
But anyway, like,
interject,
yeah,
if
yeah,
I
yeah,
may, to interject some more of those courses for those who get to see them in here. Of course, we
yeah.
have the freestyle practice, so we get the daily drills
Mm-hmm.
of different topics and different just topics, I should say, for it to speak on and write some bars to get creative, as well as we have the flow ebbing webbing basics. Is also another course that is in there. I'm looking at them right now. You
Mm-hmm.
have your rap writing basics, and then you had your freestyle blueprint, like you spoke on earlier. So those are the other ones I saw that's in here for the courses that I
Yeah,
wanted to
yeah,
share.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And again, the idea there is like, matter of fact, like what I'm hoping to do this summer, and I mean, I was just literally kind of writing a plan out for it, is I want to do, I don't know if I'm gonna call it like a mentorship series or a workshop series. I don't know, but basically like the about 8 Wednesdays, I want to host live classes, 90 minutes to 2 hour classes, uh, and essentially teach the principles of growth rap. Um, so you get the basics of how to rap and how to freestyle, of course, uh, but then it's done with the a personal transformation lens to it, and it's
Yes.
also done with and community. Like that's the idea, it's like to get us together. And because the thing about community and connection and like even like pursuing like self-actualization,
Yes.
right? Like as I've read and look into it, it's like, oh, you actually need to feel connected and belonging with other human beings
Mm-hmm.
to be able to self-actualize.
Yeah.
It's not just because it's self-actualization. It's not just, you go and you're by yourself and, you just come out like a, butterfly from a,
Cocoon.
from a
Yep.
cocoon, you know what I mean? Um, so like that's the kind of again, the kind of the irony of it, right? So the kind of the more we want to self-actualize, reach our potential and like kind of live at, um, our best, if you will, or like experience that are maybe not the best, but fullness, like our
Yes.
fullness of our humanity, right? Um, the more we need to feel some sense of connection and belonging with people. So the idea for the summer program is, again, right now I'm thinking Wednesdays, um, and I'm starting like the Wednesday, like June, I don't know if it's June 21st. I have it written down, but because quite literally this afternoon, I was just like, all right, I'm going to brainstorm this out. But just, yeah, 90 minutes, there would be a lesson, teach a lesson, we would practice principles to it. And then folks would be part of the community as well. So they would be able to check out the ciphers and be a
Yes.
part of that to get some more practice with it. Um, so, and then recordings available. So if you can't make it to the actual sessions, all that stuff, I got, figure out all the benefits, but really the selling point here and the thing that like, I just want people to understand with it is that like, if you find yourself drawn to rap music and you've ever thought that like you want to rap or just
Mm-hmm.
want to try it or just had that, again, that passion, be like, yeah, that would be cool. But you told yourself you couldn't do it or wouldn't do it because you're not trying to be a rapper. You're not trying to have a career, right? Like, oh, I'm too old or all those things. It's like rap can be for you to grow and develop,
Yes.
right? Like it doesn't have to be for commercial purposes. It doesn't have to be, you know, there's other things in our lives that we like, you know, like every person that goes to do yoga is not trying to become a professional yogi and have their own thing, right? They do it
Yes.
for the benefit of it, right? People who go and sing karaoke, right? They're not trying to become professional singers. They're just doing it because it's fun for them. Uh, and so I think there's a place that rap can have this place too.
Yes.
And so I want to provide that place for people. And then for those who do, you know, have aspirations to like release music and share with the world and you know, have a career to go along with it. I want to provide just that community support that allows artists to feel like, okay, no matter how well this project of mine does, they
Yeah.
got a place where they're seen, they're heard, they're felt, and they can still feel like I mean, I say success, but just that thing that allows you to, like, I don't know, like when you feel secure and seen and connection and you find that like you feel secure and you're able to take more risk and put more things out there. And
Yes.
so that's what I want for, you know, members of the community. It's like, I want people to release music and I do want people to like do shows and pursue all those things. And I want them to do it from a place of abundance, not from a place of desperation. Like, oh, I just got to get on because then I'll finally be somebody. It's like, nah, you are somebody before any of that, you know,
Yes.
and we see you, we recognize you, and we, you know, acknowledge your efforts as a fellow human being,
Yes.
you know, trying to make it in this world, you know. So that's what Rhyme Masters is about. You know, I'll find a way to make it a little bit more punchy and succinct. But, you know, really it's just growth rap, community, rapping, personal transformation and connection. That's what it's about. And it's been going, man, like it's been in the works for because I didn't speak to the history of it, but like the channel started off as MC Mind, which was me just teaching rap skills. And so now it's Rhyme Masters because, again, masters is the plural. It's not just about the single individual.
Yeah.
And the, again, mastery of the craft, you know, mastery of ourselves. And then anything about mastery is always about maintaining a beginner's mind, too. Like that's like, it's like, yeah, when you think you've gotten it all figured out and you don't have to learn anymore, then the next thing you got to learn is how to unlearn and how to start over. You know, and that's what true mastery is about. So there's a innate humbleness that's there but still allows you to enjoy your gifts and enjoy your skills and share them with folks.
Yes. And speaking of not only the unlearning and the exploration and, you know, the courage to go out there and the validation, or I should say the support when in a community to go for it and feel like if you're not blowing up or that, you know, you're here, you're valued and you're heard. How does community help grow and challenge an individual to share and achieve their goals, whether if that is they feel they can blow up or they're not too strong in their freestyling or their writing? You know, how does having that community help them grow and overcome those challenges?
Man,
and you can speak Rhyme Masters if there's any examples in Rhyme Masters. You do that as well.
Yeah. You know, I would love, it would be, I almost want to, I'm going to answer the question because I don't want to be that kind of interview.
Like, you ain't got the answer, Sway. Well, I got to answer it. But no, you're good.
I'm going to answer it. But I would also like, it would be interesting to hear your answer on it too. Cause I think like, you know, it's interesting. So for me, right, like there was a lot of doubts and put in building this.
Mm.
And it's been, I think it's going on 3 years. I think we're coming up. I don't have an official date. I probably should make one just so I can, celebrate and stuff. But I think it's coming up on 3 years. And like, I think you've been in some of the ciphers that like, okay, we'll go a little bit later because Desmond is like venting his doubts and his insecurities and his
Mm.
frustration about just like where it's at and like and so for me, I felt the community support and just kind of like keeping it going. And like
Mm.
when I hear folks just say, I mean, like when I was checking out your interview with Jermaine prior to this, right? And just
Yes.
like hearing how having a community affected his growth as an artist
Yes.
and it looks like it made more possible for him, one form of creativity now it's like, oh snap, like I can create whatever I choose to create versus like the limits that were on it before. Like I think hearing that story and then when I think about the times like, yeah, I think this can have that effect and
Yes.
then I hear that effect happen, then it's like, oh, okay, that
Mhm.
supports those stories support me in like keeping it going. And there's more challenges ahead. Uh, I want to get it to a point where um, it could go without me.
Yes.
It's not there yet. It's not there yet. But I definitely want to get it to that point. And I think as far as how it supports, how I imagine that it supports other artists based on just kind of what I've heard is we need safe spaces to take risks
Yes.
as creative people,
Yes.
right? And there's plenty of places you can rap online and put verses out online, but they're not necessarily designed for your growth,
Hmm.
right? They're designed for whatever purpose they were designed for, right? I mean, and I'm not gonna like bad talk any like sites out there because I speak to what I know, but I'll just say I'll talk about this. I'll talk about like Reddit. I'm not going to talk about any community on Reddit. I'm just going to talk
Yeah.
about like community, like spaces like Reddit, Twitter, and all these things where it's just like they designed that platform for attention to sell ads.
Yes.
They did not design that platform for community and growth of the people on it.
Yeah.
Right? They may serve that need in some way, but that's not what it's there for.
Yeah.
And it's really up to the people who are running the various groups and moderating the groups to create that safe container.
Yes.
And I can say that like for uh, for Victor,
Hmm.
I
Shout outs to
remember,
Phase Fair.
yeah. I remember him sharing it just about how like he shared like some of his work in one of those groups
Yeah.
and how like the feedback to his work was like almost made him like, I don't know if I can do this,
Mm.
and then he gets connected with us at Rhyme Masters and it's like, yeah, you can do this. Of course you can, right? And I mean, I'm giving this short-ish version, but basically it's like that see you, hear you, value you for you
Yes.
piece right? Because it's genuine, like, you know, that's it's not about, there's no, yeah, because it's genuine, like that's what I want this space to be. It's not, I'm not trying to make it like, this space is not for every rapper. It's not for every MC. You know,
Yes.
it's literally for, it's for people who uh value growth, value connection, right? It's not about look at me, look at me, look at me.
Yes.
You know, it's not it's not about uh promoting on my page. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's not about, it's not for that, right? So
DM me at
right. Yeah, so like, and you know, and Victor's still, he's doing his thing,
yes.
you know, and growing and expanding as an artist and in creativity and just like, and ultimately like, that is, I think it's for artists too, like, and
Yes.
that true sense, like the people that like, okay, I'm gonna put this work out in the world, and like everybody else seems to be like, I don't like it. What are you doing? Stop it. And you're like, I know you don't like it, but I can't stop. I have to make this just to function.
Yeah.
This is a space for those folks to be like, all right, we see you, we see your art,
Yes.
you know, and we connect and we build, so that, because I know for me, having the connections, sharing the stories, I now feel more emboldened to like keep working, to keep this going, to keep pushing, to you know, like, I mean, I talk about this a lot, how like I work, teaching is demanding, it's
Yes.
draining.
Yes. Yes.
It is draining, right? So then I get home and I still got to find some extra hours to like strategize for Rhyme Masters, you know, and I got a 4-year old and I'm married, you know what I mean? Like it's, uh,
Mm.
it would be, my life would be simpler if I just taught and then came home and then took care of my family, you know, but again, I got this passion, this
Yes.
thing, and it's like, I think this can help. I think this can have an effect. And uh, I think it can be something that's good for hip hop in the long run.
Yes.
And so that's what, you know, I think I got a charge from KRS-One about like, you know, what are you contributing to hip hop? Or I hope to contribute this whole idea of
Yes.
growth rap, because we need, uh, we need a space. We need a space to give ourselves permissions to express ourselves for just that purpose,
Yes.
and
Yes.
not, you know, not for anybody else's dime or attention. And then if you want to do it beyond that, that's fine. But we definitely need that. Um, we need that community first.
Yes. Mm. No, and thank you for sharing a lot of that and the examples of folks in there. Because I will say, for me, as you throwing a question back to me, that's really where I see the value not only in Rhyme Masters, but also just in the aspect of building and having a community, is being able to have a small set of, again, at the end of the day, for me, connection is always a big key. I think connection is just like the key word in this interview in general,
Mm-hmm.
but being able to create that bond between people and individuals and knowing how impactful that can be on someone's development and growth when, again, trying to have that, testing your courage as well as, testing the bounds of what limits you can go to before, you feel uncomfortable. What is that comfort zone? I know there's like a whole diagram that there's look up when it comes to like the comfort zones of like learning in those different areas, but
Mm-hmm.
being able to be on the cusp of that, but still know that proverbially you're close to the edge, but you have your support holding the rope right there behind you, knowing that you can look down at the edge and be able to see what's there. And not be fearful, or at least be a lot more secure that someone's got back there's got your back, regardless if,
Right.
you know, they may not necessarily agree with it, but they can come to understand your reasons and your creativity around why you created that, said that, shared that, etc. So for me, when it comes to how community helps to grow and challenge individuals when it comes to sharing and just achieving their goals, is being able to, yeah, have that second ear for feedback. That's one thing that I did definitely value. And not going to say it was foreign to me, but that's one thing I can say I pride myself in when it came to people bringing their music to me and talking to me, was that I'm just not going to say, oh yeah, that's dope, or yeah, that's trash, or yeah, that's fire. I'm going to
Right.
give more context behind why I think it's whatever answer I gave to you off of the top,
Mhm.
so that you can have more layers to be like, okay, what can I take from this to either, you know, use it as constructive criticism. And that's one thing that when I came in and got to sharing and I was listening to everyone else's songs, that I was just like, dang, I didn't really know that I actually really needed this. As much as we can talk about, like, you know, don't let others' opinions and things, you know, affect you, things and such of that sort, but in the aspect of that growth rap mindset. And that's
Mhm.
one thing I really value, and I still do value from rhyme masters and in the community, as well as having a space too to honestly remind me that, yo, you're not the only person that know how to go off the top like viciously. Like, as much as, like, you know, sometimes I make sure I don't get in my head about, like, yeah, I can, you know, I can freestyle pretty well, but being able to have others to bounce that off of and really just learn that there's different flows, there's different, you know, references and different ways of how you can picture and like create, you know, schemes. It just kept opening my door more to, like, man, like, yo, like, this is mad dope. Like, yes, the whole idea of that, like, you can be at the peak where you're at, but there's going to be somebody out there better and greater. Like, not in that aspect, but like, as in, again, we use a lot of biblical references, but like to really sharpen the iron sharpen the iron, all of those different methods. So
Yeah.
within that community, you're able to explore that. You're able to, in general, with having a close knit, tight community, is like you're able to really find bonds beyond just not only the one thing where you're coming there for, which can be music, whether if that's, you know, family, whatever it is, but you start to create, you're this tree and you create multiple branches, which those branches go out to create multiple different fruits. And that's from the labor of that one core foundation of, again, whatever that art or whatever that particular concept is. And that's why from there, it helps individuals to figure out how they want to grow, whether if that's where they want to continue with it, or if that's just, again, either they want to be on the teacher side, whether they want to be on the supportive side. Like, it just starts to help create not only the roles within the community, but being able to play to people's strengths, learn about their areas of growth, and be okay with those areas of growth, because, again, everybody is there to not only support, but also be like, you're going to go on that walk on your own, but these are also some blueprints, you know, shouts out to Under the Influence and yourself too, blueprints to, before you even take that step, here's some things that I did try.
Right. Right. Yeah. I mean, and that's uh well said. And I think that it's as it grows, I'm excited just to see how like folks keep supporting each other. And like you know, another shout out to Jermaine too. Under the Influence. I should stop using his government name.
And it was like, wait, who's
Who's that?
Jermaine?
Who's
Who's this
that?
person you keep talking about? You're not talking about Jermaine
Yeah,
Dupri. Okay, y'all. Yeah, she's
yeah.
talking about Under the Influence. I know I said I wasn't gonna do it to you, brother, but I'm gonna have to say it again. Know the influence.
Know the
Um,
influence.
yes.
Oh man. But yeah, no, like just shouts out to him too, just like um just connecting people. Like I think he came in and like I think like every week since he came in, it's been like, you know, we'll do like the show and tell at the end, and it's like, yeah, I'm gonna do the song with A.D.V.I.S. I'm gonna do the song with Jordan. I'm gonna do the song. Like he was just like without hesitation, just making these collaborations happen. And I got the call and did a collaboration on the project too. So it's like that's the cool thing that I guess didn't really I mean, it's like I expected it, but didn't think it would happen that soon,
Yeah.
you know? And I think just as I continue to like, uh, really I just got to figure out how I continue to let people know about it in a way that
Yes.
doesn't drain me. And I think this is really helpful because like me, I feel at least more energy talking to people than it's like, all right, I'm just talking into a camera about something.
Yes.
Um, and I think so this is helpful. But as I let more people know and kind of get the word out there, I think, we'll find more folks that feel this way about what rap has been or can be in their lives. And uh, and then just build a community around that these ideas, and then just kind of see what happens. I'm hoping like big picture, like I'm thinking like a live event, live conference somewhere. Like that would be really uh the dream come true right there, where it's
Yes.
like, all right, we're doing a growth rap conference, somewhere in the world. Maybe we go to
Speak it.
Australia, see Jordan.
Speak it. Yes.
Go down to Melbourne and have some Vegemite.
Man.
God. Yeah, no, but it's yeah, I mean it's happening, it's growing. I'm excited and scared at the same time, which generally is a good sign. I'm on the
Yes.
right path with it. And it's causing me to learn. It's just interesting because it's like I know enough now. If I just like stopped and said like, all right, I'm gonna be an artist and just put out music and promote
Yes.
myself, I could do that. But I feel called to do this more.
Mm.
I feel like, and again, and because it's not like I'm not writing, I'm not rapping, I'm not like I'm still being a creative person,
Yes.
right? It's just now like, oh, as I build this, it's like if I release something, like why am I actually releasing it?
Yes.
Because I don't need to release it just to get it out now, because now we have a community where it's like I could write something to share with y'all in the community and feel fine. Like I wrote that, pyramid verse like a few weeks back or whatever, shared with y'all, and like I don't I have it, I could put it on something, but I don't feel the urge to like perform it anymore. Like it's just weird. Like,
Yeah.
at least so I mean, again, maybe for me, like just creating that connection in the community, having that for myself with y'all, it's like, okay. And just keep it growing. And then, if there is something that I actually want to put out in the world, because it's not just about putting it out there, but it's like, okay, yeah, this could help. If this thing were in existence, this would, could change somebody's life. Then I think I'll make that project. But until then, I'll just kind of stay in this community building mode and keeping my craft, practicing my craft for the sake of it. It's like martial artists. Like they don't need to go out and fight every weekend, but they
Yeah.
still, still hit the.
Yep.
I'm pulling from last night now.
Oh man, that was an experience. And speaking of that, y'all, at least want to give some time before, more continues to go over. Just because we had the issue earlier on, I am hesitant to even try to do some music stuff with it, but can you give us at least some examples of some games and activities that do happen within the community and within the cipher so people can know? So like even explain them. We're not going to give any like test of anything. Me and you can talk offline, and I can definitely post stuff on my page of like maybe some examples and things. We'll get all those logistics later, but just like
Mhm.
share with people some examples of some activities and games that we do play in the ciphers in the community and Rhyme Masters.
Yeah. Well, I wish we had like succinct names from Jermaine's good with the names. Um, so let's talk about one that he came up with, which is called Read the Manual,
Mm-hmm.
where it's like we get it's like a manual to like some type of uh random task. So
Yeah.
like, you know, the most infamous one, at least in our community here, was like um I don't know how you said it, but it was just like um
Your one-way ticket. You talking
yeah,
about?
like how like your one way ticket to hell, how to guarantee your way to hell or something like that. So we were freestyling, you know, and I think it was probably like trading fours or eights about that.
Mm-hmm.
And so the idea in your 8 bars is to like give instructions on how you would like get a one way ticket to hell, like if that were the prompt. We've done ones where the one that was kind of funny, and it just now that I am getting in and out of my car after work, it keeps popping in my head is like how to like get inside your house or your door with like your hands full of stuff. Like we had freestyles about that. uh, so that's read the manual. So like basically, yeah, it's random instructions to random task in your life. Last night, this was a new one that I think we're gonna try to refine some more, but we played some we did it with some 90s cartoons first, but basically it was like dub freestyles. So the idea was to like freestyle dialogue to like a video that was like playing.
Mm-hmm.
I think we just ended up freestyling about the videos, but I think just um, I mean, I don't even know if you can like freestyling and then like trying to make it into dialogue with like video that's not dubbed like to it. I don't know. That might be taxing your brain a little bit uh, to try to make all that happen. But it was still fun though because we did it with 90s cartoons, and then we did it with uh, the Ip Man series, like top 20 like fight scenes.
Yes.
And yeah, I mean, I don't know. It was an experience. I think I need to do it some more to be able to have like words to describe what it's like.
Yes.
Uh, but it was a fun challenge to be able to just like, all right, now I'm just kind of taking in inspiration from what I'm seeing, but then trying to like speak like the character or whatever. Um, one of my it's a new one, and it's becoming a favorite because I think this is like one that is like those are kind of like fun, right?
Yeah.
Like kind of entertaining ones. Um, and this one, I guess, I'm calling it Hold Space until I get a better name. But
Yeah.
basically, what we do with Hold Space is like we'll have the beat play one time through, and we'll do a free write for amount of that time. And what a free write is, for those who don't know, is basically you just like whatever you're thinking about, you write out
Yes.
as without stopping. Um, and some of us when we do it, we'll like free write verses, so it's like literally just freestyling with through our hands. Sometimes the first time I did it, I did a free write where it was just like literally I was just like writing what was on my mind and processing my day.
Yeah.
So, okay, so you do that first pass with it, you do the free write, then you find a phrase or word that kind of sticks out to you for whatever reason. And then everybody gets like a 1 minute to 2 minute beat to kind of freestyle for the whole thing. And then like every it could be 4 bars, it could be 8 bars. We'll just, depending, we'll on the one beat, we'll say that phrase. So
Mm-hmm.
let's say, let's say I did a free write and then my phrase was like, safe enough. Like maybe the whole thing is safe enough for truth, but that's a little long. So I would just say safe enough. So every 4 bars, everybody would say safe enough. and then you would just kind of keep freestyling with that. So it kind of starts feeling like a
Chant.
hook, a chant, a hook. And what it allows, at least from my experience with it, is like it gives us an anchor point. And then you get to like explore that idea a little bit more through the act of freestyling. So I really like this one because again, that feels like this feels like a genuine growth rap practice where it's like, okay, we're doing this freestyling here for things to like really to really see what comes up from us in it, as opposed to like we're rapping just to entertain. Yeah, and then so those are a good few of the games, and then I mean there's plenty more that we do. I mean a lot, and I think these are probably more towards the advanced ends, right? Like you would have to have a freestyling. You have to be comfortable with freestyling to do most of these games. But then I also have like ones that I do for like beginners, where like I don't know how to do it virtually because timing is a thing, but essentially I would count like I would have people like just do the last rhyming words in rhymes, and then I'll give them like, okay, the last beats 3 and 4, then I'll give them beats 2, 3, and 4, and then and then eventually it's like they have like a full 2 bars to like put together. So I've this all started with me actually like teaching little kids how to freestyle rap.
Wow.
So this is like the very me becoming a teacher started with me teaching kids how to freestyle rap, and then I found my way into the classroom.
Wow. But yes, y'all, again, if you want to learn a lot more about the community as well, please go ahead at this moment right now. We'll also put all this stuff on YouTube later on too, is to go and follow Rhyme Masters Official as well as Dlux here on Instagram, and we'll give you all the other ads too for YouTube. I'll put that there. Inquire more about it. DM Dlux, DM, learn more about the community. And honestly, we have spaces too for the community ciphers. Again, like this is every other Sunday as well as every third Friday of the month. There's a free open community cipher so that you can come and actually experience it for yourself and really get the ins and outs of how that looks and how it is performed. Again, growth mindset as well as just practicing your courage when it comes to, again, the freestyling. We're all there to grow. Nobody's out there to be like, yo, I'm about to be the best MC. I'm gonna mop all y'all dudes on the floor. It might be some, subconsciously when people are stepping their freestyles up, but in a sense of, again, of it's sharpening the tool and really engaging and connecting. So please go check out Rhyme Masters Official, as well as Dlux. Again, all streaming platforms for music in the past from Dlux. But as we're continuing that, there's a concept that I definitely wanted to talk about. I know we've been going for a minute. And again, I got to say, too, appreciate your time, brother, for being on here and sharing your parts on this community as well as just your life and where you are in general. So shouts out to you. And thank you so much for that. But the next thing I wanted to talk about, and I got 2 more questions for you, and then we're out. And shout outs to everyone that's still here, still rocking with us. Thank you so much for coming and supporting. Yeah. Last thing I have for you, because one of the insides, I'm going to call them inside joke, but one of the inside phrases and staples of things, which is going to go on a shirt, hopefully, later on down the line, is the whole concept of genius over doubt. How we were speaking about earlier, about all the doubts and, wondering whether if I can or not, figuring if we have the confidence and things of that such. I wanted you to speak a little bit on that whole idea and concept of genius over doubt and how that has an impact on your life and the passions that, you pursue.
Yeah. So that actually came out of I would say at least like 2020, maybe 2021, I was doing a growth rap practice of like writing down my, what I call like vital needs, values, actions, um, and then even like kind of a phrase to my why. And so basically the process is like writing down my guiding principles, like doing it every day. So I kind of like set the intention of like, all right, this is, you know, this is this is why I set my aim. And sometimes when I do that, I will go on and continue to write. And then at some point, uh, I think just, I mean, you know how it is too. Like you start having, conversations, right? Like,
Yeah.
and we were talking about, me and Jesse were talking about just like, awakening genius is that, and that being a part of the job.
Yes.
And, as a teacher, part of the job as a teacher. And, I think Ghodri Muhammad, I think that's where there's actually a book by this title, and it's same, you know, heavily influenced by, that work. So anyway, that's where the word genius, you know, kind of just started circulating in my, you know, consciousness or whatever. Um, then just like kind of how, you know, when I'm processing and just writing, it's just like genius over doubt. Oh, God.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's, okay. And so like, you know, I believe in God and I believe in genius over doubt, right? So it just became like this, like, you know, mantra, if you will, of mine, as a reminder to just trust, trust that like I have what I need,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, um, prior to that and just throughout my life, and I think for other, you know, I mean, I'll speak for myself, but I think a lot of people can relate to just like the doubts are always there,
Yes.
right? They're just constant, you know, and I think as a reminder, it's like, okay, so yes, the doubts are over there, but where's the genius,
Yes.
right? So let's focus on what we have, what abilities that we have. And it doesn't, you know, it doesn't mean like you just like ignore, like I'm not of the mindset of like, you know, okay, you conquer fear. Like
Yeah.
I don't believe that, right? I believe that everything we feel is information and it can be for our growth and for us.
Yes.
So the doubts that I'm having and that stay there, right? Like it's information. I just can't let the doubts be, the guide,
Yeah.
right? Because doubts don't really guide, uh, like avoiding things doesn't guide you anywhere.
Yeah.
It just repels you from whatever you're avoiding,
Mm-hmm.
right? But if I have aim, if I have direction, like if the idea of releasing genius and helping others release their genius, that's really like the you know, again, as I cultivate myself, like why do I want to share this? Why do I want to tell people? Oh, because I want other people to have these insights. Like
Yes.
I was literally writing about like, okay, why do I want to, you know, continue to make art and continue to put work out there and share these things and like talk and all this stuff? It's like, oh, I just have this urge every time I discover something new. I
Yes.
want to share it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't like I don't know if that's true for everybody, but I know it's true for me. So that's a genius over doubt. That's an insight that just happened. I want to share that because I think it could be, you know, again, helpful,
Yes.
right? And so, especially for students, like release your genius over doubt. Like all the reasons in the world to doubt and be afraid and to stay safe. And if you want to experience what you're truly capable of, you got to release that over the doubt.
Yes.
Man, oh Lord, there's now I'm just thinking of a student. I don't. That's not even my student. Uh, but this young, I'll share my experience of it. So, uh, this student comes in, so I lead BSU. She comes in.
Okay.
This is
Black
her
Student
first time in
Union, for
BSU.
those who don't know.
Black Student Union, sorry. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Uh, comes in and, uh, she's like brought in by the other advisor that I work with. I'm kind of like keeping names out just to like try to
Yeah.
make it shorter, I guess.
Anonymity and yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Anonymity, whatever that is, confidentiality, etc.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I don't think any like this. It's a great story, so I don't think anybody would be all like, "Oh, you're telling my name," but I don't know why I feel like leaving names out would make it shorter, but because I would have to explain who the people are, but blah 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 blah. Anyway, this student comes in Black Student Union, and she is been asked to sing in a show that we have called Arts Alive.
Yes.
To have like an audition for it. Um, the scenario is like the auditions are already done. So, but by the choir teacher, she advocated to say, "Hey, you need to hear her sing." Now, the student has never sung like by herself in front of an audience before,
Yeah.
right? So she comes in and she sings for us, and she sings facing the projector, not even facing us because just too nervous to sing by herself.
Yeah.
Right. To like sing facing everybody. Right. And she's amazing. Right. Like goosebumps, amazing, like level of just
Wow.
skill and talent. Right. And so, like, she's nervous, so nervous she can't face us. Right. What's the nerves? That's the doubt. Right. And I can imagine what the experience is inside her head. Right. But whatever
Mm.
the words are, the experience, it's the doubt. And she does that for us, right? We, again, community, encourage her and be you're like you're amazing, all that stuff. And I give some pointed feedback about like teaching about the difference, excitement and anxiety, same thing, right? So like you've done the work obviously because you have this voice. So now you can tell yourself when you're feeling the whatever it is that you feel before you perform, you can say it's excitement.
Yeah.
Right. So you can go and do it because as you can see, we hear that talent, we hear that skill, we hear that voice.
Yes.
Right. So now you have evidence, right, of a community saying, hey, you got something, go do. Go take a risk, right? And long and short of that is she makes the show, and I saw the dress rehearsal, and she kills it at the dress rehearsal. Senior night was probably, I think, tonight, and I'm pretty sure she was amazing there. And like, what would happen if she didn't do it?
Yeah.
Right? Like, if the doubt
overcame.
phase. Right. And so it's like, and I mean, I'm just, as I finish that one, I think of like my like student teaching story where like I had, again, a similar kind of thing where I was teaching freestyling and like she was about to like burst into tears. Like, I can't, well, actually it wasn't freestyling. Like she was rapping a verse that she was supposed to rap for her final. She was going to burst into tears. She can't do it, performing for the class. The class gets up, gets behind her. Right. So everybody's behind her on stage, Wu-Tang style. She performs for the chairs, but then when she does it, it's on point. It's on beat, like mind blown. Like,
wow.
What? Right. Like unexpected level of like rapping ability, that again, wouldn't have happened. Right. Again, that community element, right. Coming behind her to support her. Wouldn't have happened without the push to do it, right? And then I just think of like, again, just so much doubt, so much fear, from the chronic disconnection, right?
Yeah.
Like that's that's the thing that we lose out on, is being disconnected from each other, is that like we don't have that uh we don't get that feedback, as you said earlier, right?
Yes.
That feedback to say, hey, you got something, you
Hmm.
know. I know you may be afraid, but you got something. Keep it up.
Yes. Man, and those some beautiful stories. Very, very poignant and powerful to speak to, again, the powers of support, community, and connection. Again, these key words, y'all, yes, they're gonna keep coming up because they're just vital to, again, that's the human experience, it's just life in general. And thank you for sharing that about genius over doubt and those examples, and knowing that for our genius to shine, we must be able to address and be aware of that doubt, but then take those measures and steps to overcome that doubt in that moment. Again, like you said, fear is not, I agree with you. Fear is not, you conquer fear and that's it. There's no more fear ever there. It's always going to have, it's always going to show itself, but your ways and means on how to successfully overcome the challenge of that fear each and every time is a testament to your growth. Um,
Yeah.
and with that, the last question for you, and we're out. And this is a question again I ask everyone, and it's just a staple of a question to ask, and just appropriate for a lot of this stuff. Is when it comes to your life and any of those aspects that you want to use in your life, is it the quality or is it the quantity?
Uh, I would have to say, I'm gonna say quality. And yeah, and that, when I say quality, and then I think of like the book
Hmm.
uh Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance, or Art of Zen and Motorcycle Maintenance. I think that's how you say it. Uh, and the discussion of like, you know, quality is a thing, but nobody knows what it is.
Yeah.
You know, like
Mm,
that's the because like with like, oh yeah, that's dope. Oh yeah, why is that dope? I just like it. It's like, okay, you know,
yeah.
right? It's this uh it's there's patterns to it for sure, but the pattern is not the thing. Um, but overall, I think the quality over quantity, just because quality is, um, I mean, you know, I see now I'm kind of,
Lean into quantity.
yeah. Because here's the other quantity piece of it, right? Like if there's this, if you do anything a number of times, you're bound to gain some skill in it,
Yes.
right? And then once you have that skill, and it, to get to other level, you'll have to adjust some things. But um, I think quality relationships for sure,
Yes.
right? Like I don't need a lot of uh, connections. I just need good quality, and by good
Yeah.
quality, I mean like in depth, deep ones. And then, but I would also say like, um, I don't believe in like, okay, yeah, like I just, if the verse is not the best, then don't write it. Like, don't believe that.
Yeah.
That's not me. But I would say I would believe in quantity of expression,
Yeah.
right? Put things out there, write it, put it down. Um, you know, most of what you write won't be heard by anybody else.
Yeah.
Um, and that's fine. That's okay. Um, but the more you write, the more that can be heard.
Yeah.
right? And the likelihood that the quality of what you write and create will be higher than somebody who's trying to create quality first without creating a body of work.
Yes.
So I think I would be in the realm of creativity, you know, just like quantity of reps. So if we're
Yeah.
talking about practice, then yes, quantity.
Yes.
Practice, 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 practice. Because you don't, as Eminem says, what if you have only one moment? Gotta be ready. You don't want your only shot to be your first shot ever taken. You know.
Very true. That is very true.
So
Again.
yeah, just waxing poetic right now.
But thank you for sharing that, because again, there's no right or wrong answer to this. It's all up again. All up for your own interpretation, okay?
All right.
Everybody out there. But with that, I know there's so much more, again, can be said, and we can go on and on for, hours to be on end. But again, thank you so much, Dlux. Thank you, Desmond, for your time, your support, again, also with helping my growth through the Rhyme Masters community, and even before then, being able to shed and add some knowledge and light onto me. And I didn't even mean to say light because it's Dlux, the light, but
It's all good.
it just happens. But I really do appreciate it. You're loved, you're appreciated, and you're definitely valued over here, brother. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, man. And yeah, thanks for having me. I like everything you're doing, hosties, everything you're putting out into the world, just, positive energy. And yeah, I'm just glad to, be a part of and witness to your journey. And yeah, I just, and I hope to continue to do that for many more to come. Just to, it feels, I don't know, just feels good. I'll leave it at that. I'll just leave it at
Yes.
that. Feels good at what I think is coming. And I'm just, again, like I said, excited and scared at the same time, which is generally means I'm on the right path.
Boom. And before we do close out, is there
Yeah.
any last words, things that you want to share with folks, as well as please plug, say wherever we find you, and anything else that you want to leave others with?
Yeah. Okay. So rymasters.com is like the best way to, get connected. It's free to become a member of the community, and then for like to have access to like all the ciphers, like that, right? All of them. Then there's a membership level. And I think right now it's at like basically 10 a month. So it's not too much. And let me see what else there's that. As far as me and just kind of my personal artistry, DesmondSpan.com. I'm gonna be putting more things on there, especially kind of relating to like during 2020 when I started doing like Friday Reflections as a podcast for myself. I put a lot. It was like kind of like a gallery space for my work.
Yeah.
And I think I'm going to be shifting it to make it more like my website for like speaking, consulting, performing, that, whatever it is that the integration of all these passions become, that's going to be the home space for it. And then lastly, anybody who's interested in racial justice and equity in schools, my man Jesse Gardner and I have a podcast coming out called Worth Work, and um, I'll put links out for. I'll probably I'm not gonna do a lot of like social media promotion around it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna like send links to like messages to people that I think might be interested in checking it out. Um, we're gonna launch that in June, and we have a withwork.substack.com is where you can go and kind of get connected to that, kind of sign up for the list so you can be ready when the first episode drops. So um, that's been about 3 years in the making,
Yes.
from the initial idea to like doing all the empathy interviews and then creating episodes around the empathy interviews. So I'm glad it's done. I'm excited about it, scared also. So good path with it. Um, and yeah, and I think um, I think everything that's kind of like out there and like in motion is for people to kind of see what the vibe is and what my work is right now. And
Yes.
um, yeah, and then I'm always open to write verses for folks on projects and throw my throw my bars or throw my poems on whatever, especially if I'm feeling the concept. So
There it
people
is.
can reach out for me to that as well. Give me a reason to release stuff.
There it is.
Yeah.
But again, y'all, I'll have a lot of this again linked later on. Des, please remind me, send that stuff to me so I can put those links up and have that appropriately for folks to check out. But with that, y'all, this has been another More Interviews, aka Memoirs of Our Real Experiences. Again, shout outs to Dlux Alike, aka Desmond Span, for coming on. And again, for all those watching, remember, as you're going out in life and you're doing your things, continue to keep writing your memoirs and experiences so that you can continue to keep growing and sharing your life. But with that, y'all, catch y'all on the next More Interviews. Thank y'all so much for being here, and we will see y'all next time. Peace and love. We're out.
Deuces.